It is another Light News Radio. Self-empowerment for the whole human being. The place where sick and tired is no longer of oneself. Featuring your host, Dr. Richard Jelisich, and co-host Deirdre Leighton. Together, they finish each other's sentences, laugh, and take you from feeling hopeless to overjoyed to rock your world. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. J and Deirdre.
Welcome, fellow light travelers, to Light News Radio, Realms of Self-Empowerment. Now you can enjoy us 4 times per month on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 one-hour shows with guests and 2 half-hour shows. I am Dr. J, and my co-host Deirdre and I are here to stimulate your spiritual development and self-empowerment. And today's show is on the fall equinox, the celebration of the sun's passing across the equator southward. We invite you to live call in now and live chat. Deirdre will give you the details. Things are really getting exciting for us where we can have live interaction with our listeners. Our website is lightnews.org, lightnews.org, lightnews.org. So come aboard our beam of light and enlighten your load as we travel the waves of knowledge and wisdom for the next half hour. How you doing, Deirdre?
I'm doing great, but you know what? I think we're going to have some technical difficulties today. I'm not going to be able to do the live chat. I'm really sorry, listeners, but Skype just is one of those things, and that's just the way it is. But other than that, it's going to be an awesome show, and you can reach us at info@lightnews.org. 877-242-5721, of course, is our office phone. You can always leave me a message. And normally we would be able to do the live call-ins, and I'm sorry, but that number is 1-248-629-0921 for future reference. So please mark that down.
Tuck that number away for future use because we're on 4 times a month. And we're so glad to have you. And of course, Deirdre, you've got a new car, so that's on your brain. And and this is good. Always good to have some motivation around town.
Well, yeah. Listeners, as you know, just over 2 weeks ago, I kind of had a little fender bender with my own vehicle, and the Mama D Mobile, because that's what we called it. The Mama D Mobile kind of went to car heaven, and I have Mama D Mobile 2.0 now, so we're rocking.
Well, that's okay. It's the next iteration. Although I thought you wanted roof racks and whatnot, you ended up getting a kind of a sporty little hatchback.
I did. I got a 2014 Hyundai Elantra GT, and it's got little pep and go, and yeah, I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. But you know what? Sitting in it, I realized on my way home when I first drove it is I have more space in it than I had in my old car. So
really?
I'm happy. Yeah.
Well, listeners, there's room in there for a critter, and I don't mean her partner. And just mark my words. Here we are, September 21st, on our live program, and I'm telling you, not too long in the distance because Deirdre and her loving partner, they love those 4-legged friends.
Yeah, nothing white in this one. Nothing hairy and white. Right? Yeah. Nothing. But anyhow.
And today's show is called Fall Equinox 2016 because, tomorrow is the equinox. So, and we're on our way to Sedona, by the way, woohoo, for our 2nd annual Journey of the Sacred Heart meditation retreat.
Yeah. And, the equinox is always a time of, a deep spiritual growth, whether you're releasing and rebirthing or whether or not you're looking within and just really reassessing things. So, the fall equinox or the winter one is a time to contemplate and rebirth, rest and whatnot. It's really cool. So I'm really looking forward to our show today. And I know that, a half hour is way too short when we start talking or when I start talking. And, that's just the way it goes. But we're going to have a great trip here in Sedona, and we're also going to have a fabulous show today. So quickly update you on that if you call us at 877-242-5721 or email me at info@lightnews.org and you live in the Sedona area, we would love for you to come and join us possibly on one of our excursions, because we're here to give back to the grid. We're here to recharge ourselves, but recharge the grid. So
we'll be there. Yep, we'll be there tomorrow, the 22nd through the 26th of September. And of course, we are already booking space for next year's third journey to Sedona, as Deirdre said, to give back to the vortexes instead of just going there and absorbing. We're also going to do prayer, meditation, and ceremony, and some storytelling, and it's going to be great fun. So, because our planet is tilted in its orbit, there are some planets that are not. And as such, they don't have quote unquote seasons, but because the axis of Earth is tilted about 23.5 degrees off of vertical, when it goes around the sun, we experience seasons. And we have 2 equinoxes. An equinox means the sun is now directly over the equator. And for us in the northern climates, it means it's headed south, which means we're moving into fall. And of course, in the southern hemisphere, it means they are headed into spring. And then at other times of the year, called the solstice, which is in June and in December, is the longest in the northern hemisphere and shortest, respectively, in the northern hemisphere days of the year. And so this amazing tilt of the earth giving us these seasons is also very symbolic, but also how do I put this? Because we are of Earth. In other words, if you just simply take the atoms and the molecules of your body, you realize that everything you are at one point came out of the Earth in some fashion, in some way, whether it's the water in your body or the material elements of your body. And so we are very much of the vibration of this planet. I wanted to just add very quickly, there is a chamber created called the Mu chamber, which is where a person sits inside, and the idea is that this chamber completely shuts out all of Earth's electromagnetic energies. And every person that ever sat inside this chamber, within about 20 to 25 minutes, would start weeping. They'd start crying because they were cut off from the natural electromagnetic resonant vibrations, if you will, or frequencies of our own mother, our Mother Earth. So we are very, very connected to, I like to call the biorhythms of our Mother Earth. And when Mother Earth goes through these changes of the fall, winter, spring, summer, we too go through changes, just like our planet does.
Yeah, and I know that we had talked about in our full moon one, about women and if you felt your cycles and things were going out of alignment, to go and be with the full moon. So, this is, like you say, this is a time where we can harvest or reap in our rewards, and it's also a time to sit back and review. So it's a rebirth, I guess, as you could say, in many ways, right?
Yes, very much so. And as I said before, this Mu chamber is what they call a zero Gauss, Gauss, is a measure of magnetic energy, and that we are so connected to the frequencies and the essential changes of the seasons. And, the reason I kind of keep on this is because we are going through many, many changes as the ancient races had predicted we would. And we are so affected that it is important for us to get back to the knowledge of this reconnection to Earth's natural cycles. And the problem is a lot of people look at that and they say, oh, well, you want us to wear loincloths and run around in teepees. And, it has absolutely nothing at all to do with that. It is getting into the natural harmonic cosmic rhythms of all nature. And so you can be an attorney, you could be a politician, you could be a financier, you could be a pastor of a church, and still study these natural rhythms and align yourself to them. And what happens is your thinking process, the problems we have with speeding up too much and relying too much on technology alone as a marker of our own spiritual awakening, that starts to fall away, and we get back into what I like to call a kind of a divine right order.
Well, it's interesting, because you can also hook this with how the days are changing as well, right? Because when in the winter, the days get shorter, and so you have that time to look within, to relax, to reassess, and to rewrite what you want in your life, right? Because we all have free will of choice. And so the divine order is, what is it that is right for me at this moment in time? And where have I come? And what is the journey that I am seeking that I can look forward to the spring to bring forth as in the new seeds, as in the new beginning? So it's a real time to reflect on what we've gained, or the harvest, and what it is that we really need to let go.
Exactly. And so if you think about it, why do we take a harvest? Well, also to store it. If you look at the leaves themselves on the trees that lose the leaves, they store up their energy, they pass it on to the tree. But what happens to the leaf when its job is done? It falls from the tree at some point, which, in Canada, many leaves are getting ready to do that as we speak.
They're going to
go. Yeah, they might just go, okay, everybody together.
Yeah. Sorry.
But
that's
once
true.
their job is done, they go back into the earth and they get reabsorbed into the earth for renewal. So fall is kind of like a spiritual preparation for the eventual death. And death doesn't mean it's over. It just means transition or transformation in order for the rebirth of what some people call the Christ. Christ wasn't the guy. It was the title, meaning the inner knower or the higher order of divine awakening would then come again. And because Earth goes through seasons, we have this constant life, birth, death, renewal, life, birth, death, renewal, and so forth. So fall has many, and I'll tell you, Dee, just looking at fall is one of my favorite seasons because I just love the fall colors. And believe it or not, I do like it when the days get shorter because I enjoy all the seasons of the year, but especially I just love fall. I think it's just so beautiful.
I agree. One of the reasons that I love fall is the color. It's and the air. I know, listeners, you've been listening to our show for 2 years now, and you understand that when I need a break, I go to the mountains, and I really enjoy
That's
that.
True.
And at this time of the year, coming up to just before winter, just before we get a lot of snow, but the leaves in the mountains start to change and the colors start to change before they do here in the city. And you get those crimson reds and those yellows and golden oranges. But the air smells so fresh and pure and crisp. And then as the leaves fall and the moisture starts to break them down before the snowfall, you get kind of the musty smells, and you start to feel that, yeah, okay, it's time to find a nice fire and a book and to sit down. And so everything does. It's like a beautiful, picturesque time to honor thyself, I guess is one of what I really want to say is it is a time of year to honor yourself and to make the preparations to really understand where you've been, what you're doing, and why, and where you're going to move forward. It's a magical Yeah.
I think within that, the Druids and the Celts, they had different seasons of the year that they celebrated, at least 8, which were the 4 major seasons, and then the 4 interseasons in between, every 3 months. So every month and a half there would be a marker like Beltane, Teltane, Samhain, and whatnot. And the ceremonialism is a way to concretize, to make more relevant and pertinent the actual meaning of the season itself. And this is why, when we get to Sedona and start our programs tomorrow, that we're going to be doing ceremony at these sacred sites, these vortexes, not just to receive energy or not just to allow energy to move through us into the vortexes, but to ritualize or ceremonialize the sacredness of our connection to Earth and our connection to all things. And so the word is propitious, which means advantageous to do. It's very propitious for us, for Deirdre and I, to talk about the equinox at this time, because here we are about to go into it, and to celebrate that we have on our Mother Earth this paradisiacal planet and this amazing connection. There's so many races of people that had a technology that was based on earth science. They knew the seasons, the calendrical import of the shifting of the seasons so well, and celebrated within it. They embodied their civilization for maybe 5,000 years. And yet here we are in Western civilizations just barely making it. And, we have pollution of all kinds, whether it's material, chemical, or even electromagnetic pollution, from all of our electronic devices. And we're really coming to a place the Hopis called the time of inner purification, where we have to make decisions if we're going to go back into a celebration of our connection with our dear Mother Earth or not. I have one spiritual teacher who was very blunt. He said, well, if we don't get it together, there's no reason for any human beings to be on this planet by the end of this century. So he's not talking doom and gloom. He's talking about being in the flow with all of the natural rhythms and the cycles of life. So as Deirdre and I are doing this program today, how many of you plan to celebrate the fall equinox tomorrow, September 22nd? How many of you plan to take a moment of meditation and say, this really is sacred. This is meaningful to me. Thank you for my body, and the cells in my body really do come from this planet, and that I truly, truly seek to be in much more of a spiritual and material resonance with my dear Mother Earth.
And take a time to let those leaves fall away, the things that are no longer serving your highest purpose or your highest good, and allow them just to fall back into Mother Earth and allow them to be transformed into or transmuted into neutral energies that you no longer need. And in that meditation, you really don't even have to consciously know what you're letting go of. It's the power of the intention. And so,
there is a special meditation going on today, September 21st, from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific time at the California Institute for Human Science. Not that you're all going to hear this and see this tonight, but it's a fall equinox meditation and International Day of Peace ceremony. So the reason I say that is because these celebrations and these meditations are going on all over the planet. Different groups of people, whether they're indigenous or not, are getting together and saying, this means something. The passing of the season means something. The ancient Mayans, they knew the calendrics of the passing of the seasons down to the decimal point. I mean, the passage of Venus, for instance, they calculated at 584 days, and modern science puts it at 583.92 days. And they were off by 8/100ths of a day, and yet the Mayans had no optics, they had no
computers,
radios or satellites, and yet they used a higher order of consciousness because they knew that if they nested themselves in the natural cyclical rhythms of all nature, they too would be in a more natural flow and settings with all cosmology with all nature.
And it is so true. One of my teachers and a dear friend of yours, Miguel Angel,
Ah,
he
yes.
he talks a lot about just being. And when you are just being, you don't need to wear a watch. You don't need to put a time limit on
Yeah,
anything, because the
yeah.
more that you practice being present, being in the moment, and being, the more that you don't need any of that stuff, and you arrive when you are supposed to be there, and
I'm so
it
glad you brought that up. Have you
because
have you ever heard of Indian time?
well, yeah,
Yeah,
but it's true.
it is
Um,
true.
and I can't wear a watch because I blow them up, but I haven't worn a watch in years,
Yeah.
and yet I always seem like today's radio show. I walked in 15 minutes before it started, and I made it, and all was well. So it's
Well,
just, yeah.
Deirdre, I want to interrupt you for a moment. I want to toot your horn one more time. I've told our listeners, we started June 14th, 2014 on our radio program. Now we're 4 times a month. And every once in a while I tell our listeners, I said, Deirdre lives in Calgary, which is probably 40, 50 miles east of the Rocky Mountains. But my point is, she regularly goes to those mountains to recharge her energies. And a lot of us say that we're going to take time off. We talk about it, but we never quite do it because we're in the glamour of being busy. So I really like that Deirdre takes the time, because I know she'll be the first one to tell you it really resets all of her energies, and everything kind of goes into what I like to call divine right order. And so that's why, I'm really hard over about, let us celebrate this equinox. Today, September 21st, tomorrow, the official day of the equinox. Let us take a moment and celebrate. Now, all you listeners, you've got the internet. You can find meetups,
That's
lookups,
true.
Facebook. You can find the places around, and you don't have to physically be there, because with the internet, you can tune in live to meditations all over this planet. So get with it and get in that harmonic flow. Don't you think so, Dee?
I do. I agree. And with that being said, take a moment and think of a meditation that would be, if you can't get out to any of these places, just take a moment and find a piece of music, a good book, a nice tree to sit under, whatever it is that helps you to connect, and go and be and feel the grass under your feet and the tree against your back, or the music
Mhm.
playing through your speakers or headset, and just feel and be a part of it, and let go of everything that is not serving your highest purpose, because there's no need for baggage on your next journey through the equinox.
And that's why the leaves fall away, because they're no longer needed. So, some of us don't like that. We don't like things being taken, quote unquote, from us, because sometimes they're done so without our conscious pre knowledge that certain things are going to go out of our life. But that's life. The only constant is change. And these bodies of ours really are only temporal. And we're coming up to that point where the show is almost done. I think we've got like 3 or 4 minutes, D, or 5 minutes, I should say. So I don't really want to take away from the equinox, but did you have any pressing announcements that you needed to make?
Well, I just want to let our listeners know that, you can find a lot of information on our website through the blogs of different writings of Dr. Jelicic. And of course, he's always available for private sessions and events. And if you have a company or a yoga studio or something where you would like for him to come and do a free 1-hour lecture or a Q&A session, drop us a line at info@lightnews.org, because we're always there to help people empower themselves. And one of the best ways to do that is through, through word of mouth. And so please do share our radio shows. Go and like our Facebook page, like the Bold Radio station on Spreaker
Mm-hmm.
Radio, and just take time so that, everything was good. So, yeah. That being said, your October is crazy, crazy busy, and
It is.
you've got some advanced classes for listeners out there that are graduates. So please contact me if you're interested in taking an advanced class in flower reading, or if you want more information on his teacher's training program. On the 2nd of October, you will be teaching a one-day, all-day Art of Tarot and helping individuals learn what the tarot is all
That's
about
right.
and how to do tarot readings.
Yeah.
Then on the 29th of October, you will be teaching a mediumship class. And again, this class is hands-on, experimental, and a lot of fun. I know I took it.
Experiential, yeah.
Yeah, and on the 30th, the Sunday, you will be doing a public event called Doors to the Higher Consciousness, which will be discourse and discussion with you. It's
Right.
$30 for the full day in person, or we will be recording it. And if you miss it, you can always email me, and we can set up somehow sending it to you in
Right.
Dropbox, or having you either Zoom or Skype in. We're still working on the details. But like I said, we have a full October with the meetup group events for the free healings in both Calgary and now San Diego. So please do check out our website, www.lightnews.org. And of course, download our radio shows offer Spreaker Radio with Bold under the Bold radio station.
That's Spreaker with an R. Spreaker with an R under Bold Radio Station. And we've got so many shows on there that you can download and you can enjoy. So look, tomorrow, Equinox, September 22nd. Take a moment, celebrate, tune in, and join us in Sedona if you like. We'd love to have you. But as always, we love you, dear listeners, and Deirdre and I have dedicated our lives to help taking the mystery out of metaphysics and to really helping the individual to empower themselves spiritually. And nowadays, there's so many paths, there's so many ways, there's so many things to understand. You know what one of the greatest foundation is of any spiritual path, wherever you are, whether you're from Africa or the northern part of the Arctic or Mongolia? Love. Let love be your foundation in everything you do. Let love be the foundation by every thought, every intention, every motivation and what you do, but include self-love in that. And then the lens through which you see life, let that lens be faith, because without faith, it's almost impossible to grow spiritually. It's not easy. It takes a little bit of work, but it's worth it because you start to see things more as they are. Your life starts to improve. The leaves of your belief system, having served their purpose, will begin to wither and fall away as you then perceive on a much higher, more aware, more awakened level. It is the time of the equinox. It's the time of the harvest. Accept and acknowledge your hard work and the fruits of your labors. Let them come from the tree. Enjoy them. Prepare yourself for what is to come. You're always, always, always strong enough for whatever challenges, whatever trials will come. You always have the inner strength. I know we may not think so, but it's really, really true. So Deirdre and I, we love you. And do you want to just say a short goodbye, Dee, before I sign off?
Yeah, well, thank you, listeners, for another lovely show. And we will catch you again next week here on Light News Radio.
All right, my dear listeners, we love you. And of course, as always, may the principles of harmlessness and compassion be the ever-present, ever-constant guide of your every intention, your every thought, and your every action. And so it is, and so it shall be. It is done. Stay attuned, everyone.
Thank you for joining Light News Radio, where you are self-empowered for your whole being. Be sure to join us again in 2 weeks and connect with us at www.lightnews.org.